All right, well, here we are, week 3 for the update at the Yacht Rigger for Lady Grace's transformation. So I ran up here. I was in Fort Lauderdale yesterday on survey. Anxious to get here. It's kind of like, for me, it feels like Christmas morning when you're a kid and you can't wait to open and you shake those presents. So we're getting very close. I think we're within probably 3 to 5 days of completion. But let me give you a quick little tour about what's happening and why we're so excited. These panels have now been all set, and eventually we will have 2,800 watts. These are 400 watt panels there. You can see that one has just been set in place. And then there'll be another one with another bracket that's going to go forward, but oriented. If you call this one horizontal to the boat, then that one's going to be parallel. And then where I'm standing will be the third of those 400 watt panels. So again, 2,800 watts of solar up here. And as I said before, that's a lot. You can see the marks here, that's where the other panel's gonna go. Really nice job. That's a beautiful weld. These guys do great work. So you can see what they've done is they have, our old stainless rack is the round tubing, and then on top of that, they have fabricated this new square aluminum rack to hold these big panels. These panels are bifacial, which means that, in fact, you can even see some light that's reflecting off the water up onto the bottom side. So it's actually using and generating power from the light that is being reflected up from the bottom as well, making them more efficient. So moving over here to the meat of the storage area for the batteries. So underneath this settee, this is the cockpit, and obviously the cushions are up, but underneath here, this is the bulk of the storage for the batteries, as well as the distribution for it. So underneath this custom panel that they've made are the 24 volt batteries, and that is making a 1800 amp hour bank at 24 volts, and above this is all distribution banks, fuses, the BMS. You can see these huge, that's a 400 amp fuse to handle these massive power loads, because this entire boat will now be able to be run off of the lithium ion battery bank. You can see this red top of this battery, that's a big 12 volt battery, and that operates as essentially a buffer bank for the 12 volt system. So there are still systems on the boat that will be running on 12 volt, namely refrigeration, navigation, the windlass, the power winch, etc. And when these DC chargers can't quite keep up with those big heavy loads, let's say the windlass, you're pulling the anchor up, then that battery, the big that's underneath there, that battery will kick in and help power those devices without having any issues. You can see that the way that they've done this is really professional. Everything has been custom crimped, neatly bundled, super clean install. Can't say enough about these guys. All right, so there's the Quattro 5,000 watt inverter that has been mounted. You'll see, so this is our kitchen, dining room, for lack of a better term. This is the settee. Obviously the cushions are off, but you can see come in the back door. So that's where this lives. It's all been wired now. And they put in a couple fans, one on that side, one on that side, and so you can guess the question that Stephen posted on the Yacht Rigger about what that device is right there. That's a thermostat that's controlling those fans that will kick on to ventilate this space and keep the inverter running at its optimum temperature. This is the wiring schematic that Frank has drawn up, and so the rest of the crew is following this. I'm glad somebody else can read it, because I cannot. But anyway, that's the brains behind this, is deciding how this entire boat power system is going to get distributed. And then up here, this is the new, that's the Servo GX, and that will be the control center for all of this data. So there have been a fair amount of changes here. It doesn't really look too different. These are emergency cutoff switches for the battery bank, the 2 different inverters that we have. Code says that they need to be readily accessible, and a switch underneath a settee is not deemed readily accessible. So we would never use these on a daily basis, but in an emergency, it's kind of like that emergency fuel shutoff switch that you see at the gas station. So if you needed to, you could pop those and cut off all power in the event of a real emergency. So here we've added a couple extra circuits here. We've added the own dedicated circuit for our convection oven, which I've spoken about before, which is great. So now it's on its own. You don't need to worry about power management quite so much. We've added an exterior outlet that's in the cockpit, so a 110 plug has its own outlet. And then I've added had them add the 2 outlets in the galley onto this separate breaker here, so that they have a chance to keep those separate from other loads. This is down in the porthole. You can see they have now put in a new strainer that will be the water strainer for the watermaker to do the initial work of getting that clean. And then this room, guest room, above the ceiling here, you'll see above the panel that we've put back in place, this is part of their custom fabrication, but these are the solar charge controllers. And you can see what a really slick, nice, neat install, and also what a project this is. And moving towards the front of the boat here, I'm still on port, trying not to fall into these booby traps. This is the pump for the watermaker that's not been wired yet, but will be. They built a custom little pad for it to sit on. And then over here, again, I'm not going to fall in, but so this is the control panel for the watermaker, and pretty slick. This is a custom fabricated device. Some of the functionality of this is a little limited, they felt. So this is really slick, so I'll be able to turn this to test. There'll be a little hose that comes out here so I can actually test to make sure that the water is okay before you start putting it into tank 1 or tank 2. So pretty slick custom work that these guys do. The membranes are underneath what we call our garage, but they're in there, and I can't really get to them right now. All right, so we are now midway through the 3rd week. Again, making great progress, and they think probably 3 to 5 days, something like that. Need to mount those other, the 3 panels on the top, 3 extra solar panels on the top. Trying to find a spot to put the life raft because we have to move it from its original place. Also trying to figure out where to put the Starlink antenna, since it is now not in an ideal spot because it's creating some shading on the solar panels that is not good. So anyway, a few more decisions to make. Brian, the fabricator, is fantastic. He and I met for a bit this afternoon, talked about a few options. He's going to mull those over, and frequently that good solution comes to you in the middle of the night. So anyway, a few more little tidbits to wrap up, a couple more days. The one thing that did occur today is that it dawned on me that as we're filling water with the new watermaker, we don't have any gauges that show how full those are. So I made the decision today. Sorry, Christy, you're going to learn about this when you see this on the video. But I made the decision to add 2 sensors, one for each tank, that will run back to the servo, that will tell us how full the tanks are, and even you can set it to a warning. At 20% or 10%, it will make an alarm sound, and then it allows you to switch the water over from tank 1 to tank 2. And also, more importantly, now that we have a watermaker, be able to stop filling it when it's full, since there's no sense in running a very power-hungry unit if it's not needed. So, again, not a crazy expensive thing. It's under 1 boat unit, which we typically call $1,000, so it's less than a boat unit. And excited, though, about that functionality. I think it'll make a big difference in how we use the boat and live day to day. So, getting pretty darn close. Again, this is mid-3rd week wrap-up. And like I said, getting close. We're getting excited. And talk to you soon. Bye.